Good afternoon, Dr. Gordon. Good afternoon, listeners, and welcome to Woman's Hour. Thank you for coming into our studio today to talk to us about the world of obstetrics. Before we begin the interview, could you take a few minutes to tell our listeners a little about yourself?
Yes, by all means, and please call me Dr. Doris. Everybody does. I was actually born in Australia and arrived here in New Zealand in 1884. I studied at the University of Otago, and in 1917 I became a surgeon here in Dunedin Hospital. After I married, my husband and I set up a hospital in Taranaki called the Maria. At present, I'm quite prominent in the obstetric scene. In fact, I've made a bit of a name for myself in the Department of Health, ruffling a few feathers. I strongly believe that all births should be conducted in a hospital and be looked after by doctors. All women should be able to have a pain-free birth and have up to maybe 14 days in hospital to compose themselves before returning back to their family and pick up their duties. This service should be free for all, and everybody is important. It does not matter a jot the colour or complexion of the patient. Every consideration is extended. You can be the Prime Minister's daughter, and you'll be treated the same as everybody else.
Thank you, Dr. Doris. There has been a huge shift at the present time for women to have their babies in hospital. Why is this happening?
Well, standards of care are far superior in our hospitals. Staff are trained and well educated. The birthing woman has the right to a pain-free birth, and I firmly agree with the use of twilight sleep. They no longer have to endure the unnatural and unnecessary pains of labour. We are liberating women from the danger and pain imposed on them by their own bodies. We are living in ever-changing times. The suffragette movement has shown us that as women, we have a voice, and we no longer have to suffer. Medicine is coming on leaps and bounds. Women should and must come into hospitals to have their babies. It is by far the most safest option. Please give me a moment and I'll look at my notes. Oh yes, here it is. The Obstetrical Society this year has stated, and I quote, "For reasons of safety to mothers and infants, reasonable pain relief, the elimination of future pelvic weakness, a doctor and a trained nurse should be present at every delivery." Gone, thank goodness, are the days where you call upon a local lass, or if you're indeed lucky, a midwife with varying training and skills to deliver your baby at home. We aspire here in New Zealand to be a growing nation. Therefore, we need to increase our population. Too many babies and mothers are dying needlessly during childbirth. In the hospital, doctors are present. You are in the best possible hands. Women should not be terrified of birth and the pain. We can help with twilight sleep. You won't remember the pain, and with that, women will go on and have many more children, which is exactly what New Zealand wants.
Dr. Doris, twilight sleep is something that you have touched upon. Can you tell our avid listeners a little bit more?
Yes, twilight sleep in essence saves a woman from having to endure the pain of childbirth. In the correct hands, twilight is safe and effective. We are living in a volatile world, listeners. Who knows if the rise of the far right under that man, his name, what is it? Yes, Adolf Hitler, will gain any traction. But the prospect of another war is a real possibility. However, you can trust in medicine. People have been suffering terrible financial hardships, but the Great Depression is behind us. Onwards and upwards. The advancement of medicine is one of these driving forces behind this new era for New Zealand.
Thank you, Dr. Doris. I've read several newspaper articles about twilight which suggest in certain parts of the world twilight has fallen out of favour.
Yes. Twilight isn't for everyone. If a woman wants it, she's free to have it. I've had 4 children, and my last child was born with twilight sleep. It was simply marvellous.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Dr. Doris, but I've read articles in broadsheets, no less, that say women are strapped down during labour and lose control of their faculties.
Yes, some women are strapped down, but it's for their own safety, don't you know? But really, she will not remember a dot about the birth, so what's the issue? Birthing mothers are so thankful to be given twilight sleep. If women are not frightened by having babies, they will have more. What is better, a fortnight stay in a hospital with no pain, or being attended to at home by a midwife, where anything could go wrong, and not having twilight sleep in hands as only doctors could administer it?
Thank you, Dr. Doris. We're going to take a minute and listen to an advertisement.
Hello, come to Cathedral Square here in Christchurch this Saturday to show your support for the Women's Service Guild. We know as a housewife you are burdened by your husband, housework and children. We are fighting for the establishment of birth control clinics only for married mothers, of course, and the need for maternity allowance so mothers can have babies without financial strain. Please join us and show your support. 11 a.m. sharp and don't be late.
So, Dr. Doris, I'm going to put a cat amongst the pigeons here. I would like to discuss abortion with you.
Well, as a medical practitioner, a woman, a mother, and a Christian, I am fully opposed to abortion. Illegal abortion is a major concern for my society. Did you know that in 1936 there were 45 maternal deaths because of illegal abortions? And if the average number of children born to these women were 8, then New Zealand has lost out on raising these babies. In my book, which I'm currently writing, called Gentlemen of the Jury, I do express my abhorrence towards criminal abortions and the use of contraception. And I know most of my colleagues share the same opinion as me. I even go on to say in this book, which I do implore all listeners to read, that the suffragette movement in this instance has failed women. Let me find the right page. I'd like to read you something from my manuscript. Here it is. There is only one calling in which modern woman has failed, which has poor despised grandmother succeeded, and that is the task of keeping the cradle reasonably full.
How can you justify the increase in sepsis? Do you believe it's because of the use of twilight?
Sepsis is a big problem, I do concede. For listeners who don't know what it is, sepsis is when bacteria enters the body and your immune system can have an extreme response to the infection. It actually can be very serious. I still believe, however, women are safer in hospitals with doctors present and not at home.
Thank you, Dr. Doris. Let's have a little break here. We will be back soon.
Welcome to our Women's Hour special. In the spirit of this interview, Christchurch Harrier Club would like to extend a warm welcome to the two women to come and join our female-only running group. We meet on Wednesdays, weather permitting, outside the museum at 9 a.m. and we run Hagley Park. Join us. We even have a dashing running dress you can wear.
Well, that just sounds wonderful. Well done, Christchurch Harrier Club. Women should concentrate on keeping themselves fit and healthy, and of course good hygiene is essential. Physical and mental fitness is paramount and will keep young girls out of trouble, and then there will be no need for criminal abortions.
Thank you, Dr. Doris, for your time. Sorry, I've just been told we have a listener who has rung into our station to talk to Dr. Doris. Yes, Ellie Bishop would like to say a few words.
Hello, I'm Ellie Bishop and I have just birthed my third baby at Dr. Doris Hospital in Taranaki. It was simply a marvellous experience. I went into hospital, quite a change from my two previous home births, and it all went swimmingly.
So, Mrs. Bishop, it all went well?
Yes, I have absolutely no recollection of the birth as it had the magic concoction twilight sleep. I simply went into hospital, had the baby, and then I had a 14-day rest. Thank you, Dr. Doris.
Oh, you are so welcome, Mrs. Bishop.
Thank you, Dr. Doris, for your time today, Mrs. Bishop for ringing in, and you listeners for tuning in. That concludes today's Woman Hour special.